sorry.
And I sacrificed a lot of myself to come out successful on the other side.
We never thought we'd see the day Kevin Hunter would be spotted in public looking like this, broke, bloated, and begging for the woman he once called replaceable. The same man who strutted around daytime TV like a self-made king is now reportedly crashing on couches, whispering apologies to anyone who will pick up the phone and trying to claw his way back into Wendy Williams' life, as if the last decade of betrayal never happened. You'd almost feel sorry for him if it weren't so poetic. The ex who torched her empire with a side romance and secret baby now reduced to a walking cautionary tale. It's not a rumor, it's a reversal. And watching it unfold in real time feels like karma pulling up a chair. I mean, I take accountability for my actions. You know, for what's obvious out there. Obviously obvious. What's wild is how fast the roles flipped. He spent years talking about loyalty, building an empire, calling himself the protector while funneling her money into an entirely separate life with Shirena Hudson, the side girl who cashed in on Wendy's grind. He bought her a house, paid for her luxury lifestyle, and had the nerve to act offended when the world found out. Remember that Wendy was collapsing on live television, fainting in her Statue of Liberty costume while Kevin was out shopping for baby strollers. The arrogance was Olympic level. And now after the affairs, the secret child, the lawsuits, and the lifetime of manipulation, he's out here begging, literally begging for another chance. People close to the family say Kevin's been reaching out, trying to use their son as a middleman, claiming he's changed, that he still loves Wendy, that she needs someone who understands her. The timing couldn't be more suspicious because right now Wendy's back in headlines, sharper, glamorous again, pushing against the guardianship that's kept her trapped for years. She's got her name trending and public sympathy flooding in. I've always spoken to her, and she's always wanted me to spend her money. Meanwhile, Kevin's bank account looks like an abandoned studio set, empty, echoing, and overdue for demolition. It's not love letters he's sending. It's survival tactics. He's telling anyone who will listen that Wendy's guardianship is a fraudulent bondage, that he's fighting for her freedom in court, that the system is broken. Sure, the system's broken, but so was their marriage. And he broke that himself. When he filed that lawsuit demanding $250 million in damages to be shared between him and Wendy, even the judge had to side-eye that one. Shared with his ex-wife, the same woman he emotionally shredded on a public stage. It sounded less like activism and more like a cash grab disguised as concern. And we all know Kevin loves disguises. He lived behind one for 15 years. Here's what makes the whole thing sting. While Wendy's fighting for her independence from a system that literally locked her inside an assisted living facility, Kevin's pretending to be her savior. He's painting himself as the man on the outside trying to break her free. But insiders say it's not about freedom, it's about finances. His luxury Florida home is in trouble. He owes homeowners association fees, credit card bills, and apparently even pawned off a 6F Figueroa car. The man who once wore fur coats through studio halls is now drowning in collection notices. The empire he built on Wendy's back is dust, and the woman he cheated with. Rumor is she's gone, too. Shirena Hudson quietly slipped out of the picture, taking her vegan recipes and their little family dream with her. Kevin's left talking to himself and filing lawsuits no one's taking seriously. Meanwhile, Wendy, even under the tightest control of a guardian who limits her phone calls, is doing what she's always done best, performing. I'm going to be doing such fun things on my new TV show, girl. And I'm going to have I don't want to just write it because it will get off. You know what I'm saying? So I've a paint thing. Yeah, to paint. Okay. This fall she turned up at Laquin Smith's show at Fashion Week dressed like she never left the game. Long lashes, cropped fur, flawless makeup. The same people who once whispered she was gone were shouting her name from the runway. It felt like a resurrection. The tabloids called it a comeback moment. We call it karmic theater. Because while Wendy was waving to fans and sitting front row, Kevin was somewhere in Florida trying to explain to a judge why he couldn't afford his car insurance. The man who used to control her every move now can't even control his own credit score. And yes, we've seen the photos. Wendy out at dinner smiling at cameras. Her team making sure the world knows she's still sharp. She's talking again, pushing back on that cognitively impaired label, calling her guardianship a disgusting situation. She even told the Breakfast Club that the people around her are holding her hostage. And while she's publicly demanding freedom, Kevin suddenly resurfaced with concern. Concern that just happens to come with dollar signs. We can't help but wonder, is this about reconciliation, or is he trying to crawl back into relevance? Because when Wendy was down, Kevin was living it up. When she was fighting health problems, he was playing family man with his mistress. But now that she's clawing her way back into the spotlight, he wants back in the picture. The irony is brutal. Wendy's guardianship costs over 25 grand a month. Money coming from her own estate, managed by a system she despises. Kevin's out here begging for alimony he'll never see again. An inordinate amount of people that took advantage of my absence, and her vulnerability at the time. The court already told him what we were all thinking. Her money is no longer his problem. That decision hit him like a door slammed shut in his face. He called it unfair. Fans called it karma. You betray someone for over a decade, and then expected them to fund your downfall. Even Wendy, locked away and guarded, couldn't have scripted a better punchline. And let's not forget, this is the same Kevin who used to treat Wendy's staff like servants. The man strutted around the studio with a bottle in his hand, acting like his name was on the marquee. Producers used to whisper about how terrified people were to cross him. He had the nerve to show up in a fur coat to her set while she was barely holding it together on air. That was his peak, and it was built entirely on her brand. Now the brand is gone, and so is the power. Watching him try to rewrite the narrative, pretending to be the wounded ex-husband, is like watching a magician perform a trick we've already seen. But it's Wendy's son, Kevin Jr., who's been the quiet truth-teller in all this. He's seen both parents fall apart in very different ways. First, his father's double life, then his mother's collapse under the weight of betrayal, substance struggles, and a public system that stripped her autonomy. Insiders say Kevin Jr. has no patience for his father's pity act. When reports came out that the elder Kevin was broke, his son allegedly rolled his eyes and said what most of us were thinking. Maybe try working for once. The younger Kevin's been keeping a low profile, focusing on building his own life. But even he couldn't stay silent when his father started spinning the narrative like he's the victim. Every time Kevin Hunter's name shows up in a new headline, another lawsuit, another unpaid bill, another exclusive about how he wants Wendy back. It feels like déjà vu. He's trying to convince the world he's the only one who can save her while she's proving she doesn't need saving. Her voice might shake, her body might falter, but her fire is unmistakable. Even in that facility, she's plotting, stitching her own clothes, telling people she's coming back. I feel like the Guardian has not done a good job at protecting my mom. As long as she has people around who are yes people, I know that she's not getting the help that she needs or getting better. When she called her living situation a dump and complained about being surrounded by old people, we didn't hear confusion. We heard the old Wendy blunt and biting as ever. She still got that spark. Now picture this contrast. Kevin sitting in his half-empty house watching clips of Wendy at Fashion Week. Her hair perfect, her laugh aloud, her face back in the tabloids for all the right reasons. He must feel it. That sting of being forgotten because once upon a time, every headline about her included his name. Now she's reclaiming her narrative and he's clinging to court documents. He used to be her shadow. Now he's just the punchline. We heard whispers that Kevin's been calling old industry contacts trying to pitch some kind of truth-telling project, a memoir, maybe even a podcast. But no one's buying. Literally no one. The industry that once treated him like a gatekeeper now sees him as a liability. He had his empire, his side, his second family, and he blew it all. When the checks stopped coming, the loyalty vanished. Even Shirina, the woman who supposedly left Wendy's world behind to build her own brand, seems to have vanished from his orbit. Her social media has gone quiet. The love story that broke Wendy's heart turned into another unpaid bill on his desk. And yet, Kevin's still performing. He's been spotted around Florida trying to look composed, talking about family healing, claiming he just wants to do right by Wendy. It happened. The banks froze everything up. He was not in a position to pay $10,000 a month on the part. But the sincerity cracks every time he opens his mouth. He's the man who sold the story of stability while living a double life. Now he's trying to sell remorse, but the audience already knows how the M.